Hey everyone, I'm here again from Ektio. Just wanted to introduce you guys to our designer, Omar Bailey. He's been with us for quite a while. He's done a great job of designing our shoes, and wanted to share with you guys some of the inspiration behind our product, behind some of the design. Also kind of delve into the development process of what it takes to make one of these shoes, especially with the ankle support. It's not an easy shoe to make. So kind of wanted to introduce you and just so you can see the inspiration behind it. So Omar, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about, you know, how you got involved with Ektio and how long you've been doing design for.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. I've been in the shoe business for about 10 years now, and from the time that I was a kid, from 8 years old up until this point, it was always something that I was very interested in doing. I went to a small performing and visual arts high school in South Florida, and then went to a couple different design schools in the Midwest, in Michigan and Ohio, where I studied industrial design. From there, did a ton of internships with a number of different footwear brands, from Adidas, K-Swiss to New Balance, and then moved to New York in 2007 and just sort of hit the fast track and wanted to start my own sort of business and be a independent designer, and go from there.
So very cool. So just tell us a little bit of how you got involved with Ektio.
Yeah, so in 2008 I met Dr. Barry Katz. He approached me at that time with this very interesting concept that he had patented, and I'll never forget it because it was a off-the-shelf shoe that he had built these straps with these bumpers on the side of it, and said, I want to build this into a brand. So you know, once I understood the concept and grasped it a little bit more, and spoke to him and had a few more meetings following that, you know, I really began to believe in the idea and the concept some more, and I was really impressed with just how much legwork he had already done by having sort of a sample made, even though it wasn't quite a finished one, and even going as far as securing these patents and really doing his due diligence and doing that. So that really got me very excited about it, because in order to work with someone, you know, I feel like they, you know, of course they have to be as excited as you are to be in it and to move forward with it. So we started the initial development process of the first shoe, and I would say that took about, gosh, maybe a year and a half or so, just from the initial pre-development and the design, and created the blueprints to the first wear test samples that we made, getting those wear test samples tested and going back and making changes. So it's a process, you know. For those who aren't familiar with the process, it really is, it does take quite a bit of time. It took about at least a couple years before we got the shoe out actually on the market, and from there, you know, it was just more of trying to take the technology and create something that looked good but was also functional. You know, I've always felt like as a designer, when you sort of looked at some of the new brands, especially the athletic ones that come out, that have come out in the past, is, you know, they've always really focused a lot on the technology component, which is important because it's their core and that's what it is that they're trying to sell. But I also believe that no one's really gone as far as really trying to apply a nice aesthetic to the technology as well. And I feel like we accomplished that in the first shoe. And then the second shoe, which is right here in front of us, the Breakaway, which is a clear evolution of where we've come from to where we are now, came from us just basically taking that next step forward. And what is that next step forward? And I've always believed that next step forward is in the applications and the treatments of shoes. It's one thing to design a shoe, but it's a whole nother thing to take that design and really embellish it with the details, using technology and some of the things that are available in the shoe industry to really take that shoe to the next level. And I feel like that's what we did with the Breakaway by having this high frequency welded upper, which is basically an extremely thin layer, just about a couple millimeters thin, of a PU, polyurethane plastic material that's sandwiched with this underlay mesh that you see, and underneath this mesh is a color. Now what this does is it provides Um, in addition to the security that it provides, it also provides an extreme amount of durability as well. You know, when you rub your hands on it and you feel it almost feels like rubber or plastic. Like if you think about that, you know, I think, you know, Rubbermaid or something like that, but it's highly durable. So that's just the upper part of it. Then of course we have the technology in the shoe with the straps, which you guys are familiar with by now at this point. And it was just basically trying to merge the two and come up with something that was very unique in the breakaway, and going from there.
Awesome. So tell us where you designed the whole shoe, and this is your product right here. So tell us where'd you get the name Breakaway? What's the inspiration behind the title Breakaway, and you know?
Well, you know, the breakaway, you know, one of the hard things I think when coming up with the shoe is coming up with a name for it. And the breakaway obviously comes from the term, you know, fast break is what I was thinking about. You know, the explosiveness of the athlete and the confidence that they have when they're breaking down in a, you know, in a 3-on-1 fast break or a 2-on-1 fast break, and weaving in and out of throughout the defenders. And that was where sort of the name came from. But in addition to that, the confidence that I think the technology gives the athlete when they're in a fast break, and that, you know, whether or not they're going to blow right by them or stop at the free throw line for a jump shot or go finish at the hoop, the overall message with the breakaway was the fact that, you know, this is our technology, it's here, we're pushing it, and it's going to give you the confidence that you need to finish at the basket.
Awesome. So you talked a little bit about the you know, the development process. Do you want to delve into a little bit more about how to develop a shoe like this, what the process is like, and, you know, obviously you talked a little bit about how long it takes, but give our viewers a little insight into you know, what it really takes to build a shoe like this.
Yeah. So I mean, initially what we start with is with the concept. So the idea will start with, you know, just the basic conversation, just like you and I have. Oh, it'd be great to have a shoe like this, or great to have a shoe that does that, or we want to focus on this. And then what I do is take that information and that research, and then really start thinking about how you can apply that into something tangible. Then once you start having your ideas, start sketching the ideas and start messing around a little bit, you know, and then as it starts to come together, you know, I start adding then I take it digital and start adding the color, start thinking a little bit more about some of the applications as I explained before, and then just have it continue to evolve. Once we get to a point where, you know, we're happy with the design and we like it, we move forward with the first sample, or pullover as we call it in the industry. The pullover is basically the first attempt that a sample room takes at going from 2D to 3D. Then from there, we'll develop and refine that 2D pullover into something that looks a lot better than that first pullover. You'd have to imagine that, you know, if you're going to go from 2D to 3D on the first attempt, it's not going to look exactly like you may think it will, but usually the second and the third attempt is what ends up looking a lot better, and you can see the progression from that first pullover to the final one. So once we get to that final sample, then we'll move into the wear test sample phase, where we'll make some different sizes. We'll get them out on some athletes. We'll have them test them out for, you know, 2-3 months at a time. Give us the feedback. Then we'll take that feedback back to the sample room in the factory, and we'll implement that information into, or we'll consider that information into the next round of samples. And we keep doing it over and over again until we're actually 100% satisfied with what it is that we're doing. And from that point, then we move forward with the production and you know, bring these amazing shoes out to you guys and for everyone in the world to have and to wear.
That's awesome. So I mean, we're real excited to launch the Breakaway. We believe it's an evolution when you start a company like this. You go from one product to the next, and you're always working to improve it. You listen to customers' feedback, and you know, we've definitely listened to customers. So from your standpoint, where do you think the evolution is now? From going from the Raptor and Post-Up, those were our original models, to the Breakaway. What do you see as the evolution?
Well, I definitely think it's definitely taking a step forward opposed to one backwards, and what I mean by that is the evolution in the technology. I think we should continue from where we are with the high frequency welding, and maybe move into that next level. What that is exactly, I'm not 100% sure yet. That's where sort of the trend forecasting and those things come into play. paying attention to what the kids really want and what they're interested in, what they're seeing, what's inspiring them, and then most importantly, developing a story around the product. I feel like that's very, very important. We have to come up with stories and develop a story that's going to relate to our consumer and it's going to make them interested in buying this, especially if we're competing with the big boys out there. We want to make sure that that we're also competing on that level of the advertising and the promotion side of it as well, and making sure that we can keep up to those standards. But I think from a visual perspective, I have no doubt at all that I'll be able to come up with a very cool design. But from that design moving forward, as I said before, it comes down to the applications and the treatments and how we're going to execute that design and put it on a bottom. I definitely think in creating a new bottom and just an overall sort of new silhouette, a new last, a whole new look. But of course, keeping the technology the way that it is going to be ideal, and it's going to be very important. But we're definitely going to be leaning on the feedback of our core consumers and our loyal consumers out there for their feedback and just continue to evolve this brand and have something great for you guys for the next season.
Well, thank you very much, Omar. As Omar was just saying, looking at down the road for the advertising, you can check us out. We're going to be at Slam Magazine, slamonline.com. So we are doing some advertising with them. And I'm looking forward to getting the shoe on the market. Once it is on the market, you guys are going to love it. So, thanks a lot, Omar.
No problem. Anytime.